it's supposed to feel.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the NS9 Postgame Show. I'm Jim. Joining me is Neil. The Pirates lose the series opener today to the Blue Jays 4-0. This is loss number 5 in a row for the Pirates. Just not a lot of good stuff really to talk about today. Offense was pretty anemic, but I guess before we get into things, how you doing, Neil?
I'm not doing great. I can't lie. These last couple days have been a huge waste of my time in terms of watching the Pirates. Just absolutely
A waste of your time, Neil.
Yeah. Absolutely nothing worthwhile about the last couple days. And it would be one thing if we were playing somewhat competitive baseball on this 5-game losing streak, but it's just been terrible.
Yeah, no, it's been I mean, like you mentioned, it's been bad baseball, and today was more bad baseball. I think the first thing we can kind of point to here, the Pirates got a total of 8 runners on base today. Mm-hmm. 3 of them were thrown out on the base paths, and all 3 of those were thrown out on the base paths, I believe, in the first three or 4 innings. Was it 3 innings? The first 3 innings was an out on the bases? I think that's right.
At the very least, the first 3 or 4. Just killing any semblance of momentum we could have had.
Santana was thrown out in the 4th. So the Pirates get 4 base runners on base, basically in the first few innings, and they all run themselves off the bases. So really rough.
None as bad as G1 Bay getting thrown out at third with no outs in the first, where Chris Bassett couldn't throw a strike. That set me off, and not for other reasons, not terribly unhappy to see him leave the game in the third, in the 8th inning.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Sounds like there's the Pirates are a little banged up right now.
Yeah.
Let's start with the lineup today. Brian Hayes was getting just kind of a normally scheduled day off. Andrew McCutchen was in the lineup to when it first came out, but about an hour before game time, he was scratched due to an ankle sprain. So no Andrew McCutchen. So then you're replacing. First off, the lineup didn't really look all that great, but then you're replacing Andrew McCutchen with Mark Mathias, and then it really didn't look good at all. And the final score kind of showed that. I mean, like I said, 4-0 final score. Pirates offense just didn't get anything going after those first few innings. Like I said, they were getting people on base there at the beginning of the game, but then they were running into outs. G1 Bay led off the first with a walk. He steals second. You're thinking, hey, we're in business. Rich Hill gave up a first inning run, but it looked like the Pirates offense was like, hey, maybe we're about to do something here. And then Bay attempts to steal third, gets thrown out. And then at that point, the first inning was basically over. Right after that, Reynolds and Santana, made quick outs of themselves. But I mean, that was the story of the day, I think, is just especially the beginning when, the Pirates were still within striking distance. It was a 1-0 game, and they just continued to beat themselves. And it's something that we've seen really all week long during this rough stretch of play. They're not necessarily the Rays are good, but the Rays didn't necessarily do anything to win those games against the Pirates. It was just the Pirates weren't executing and making the plays when they needed to. And today, just another frustrating loss because, again, you just saw it over and over and over again there in the beginning where you get on base and then you just trip over yourself.
And this is what happens because the first month, and I think we emphasized it a lot over the first month, is that we filled this roster with good everyday MLB baseball players. And over this losing streak, you look down the bottom of that lineup, especially tonight, from 5 to 9. There is one major league player there, and that's Rodolfo Castro, who's also kind of going through a bit of a rough patch. But every other player does not deserve to be on a major league roster. I don't know what we thought was going to happen when we decided to bat Miguel Andujar 5th in the lineup, putting Mark Mathias and Austin Hedges back to back. I mean, we had 3 hard hit balls all game. 3.
Yeah.
It's when you don't have depth. And I think it's even more frustrating when you have some really talented guys ready to come up and are knocking on the door. I shouldn't be watching Henry Davis in Double-A yesterday. I should be watching him play baseball instead of Austin Hedges. So I am extremely frustrated with the roster right now.
It's yeah, like as far as like from a depth standpoint goes, you're seeing guys take these spots while these injuries are happening who are at least probably like those prototypical 4A players, right? Like they're guys who deserve major league playing time, when the situation calls for it. But tonight's lineup, you saw a lot of those guys in that lineup at the same time. And the lineup had very 2022 type vibes to it where, 5 through 9 wasn't great. Castro, notwithstanding, but like 7, 8, 9, you look at it and you're like, probably, not necessarily who you want facing the Toronto Blue Jays. And actually, surprisingly, if you look at 6, 7, 8, 9, they got 3 out of the 4 hits for the Pirates today. It was the whole offense was pretty anemic. Brian Reynolds hit a double. That was really the only person who did anything offensively. Castro and Marcano did get on base twice each. They were able to draw a walk as well as get a single. But again, the problem with, it happened with Castro. It happened with Santana when he got on, and Bay. You're running into outs and you're not giving your team a chance to drive yourself in.
Yeah, the lineup is not good enough right now to keep making stupid mistakes. It's definitely not good enough to make it the same mistake 3 times. I understand being so aggressive on the base paths really helped the Pirates get like a bunch of runs and like fill in where like some faults we had in April, and it helped us grind our way to some wins. But like you have to be smart about it. Sending 37-year-old Carlos Santana to third on a weekly hit ball makes absolutely no sense. And we got punished for it. And so you're right. And like every team has some players who probably aren't major league players. Like I am fine with Marcano as a bench piece. Guys like him belong on the MLB roster. Austin Hedges can be a fine backup catcher. They cannot be everyday players, and we certainly can't have 4 of them starting every day. And it sucks that it really sucks that the injuries are piling up as soon as we get fun, but there also has to be some depth there.
Yeah. And so we have the depth is there when everyone's healthy. Now that, we're seeing some injuries and we're seeing kind of these AAA guys getting called up, we're just not seeing the same caliber of play. And it's unfortunate because there are guys down in the minors who I think could help this team and they could be immediate upgrades to it. Yet here we are trotting out players who frankly don't deserve it. I mean, I do want to talk about Hedges a little bit here. He got a hit today. It was his first hit in like 10 days. But the guy was touted for his defense, this spring. He was touted for his, his veteran leadership. You know what young guys look up to is veterans who play well. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do you any good if you're a veteran and you suck. Like that doesn't do anyone any good. And Hedges right now is hitting terribly. He's like putting a pitcher, and he's like a pitcher in the lineup. Like, that's not an exaggeration. He is hitting straight up like a pitcher would. Defensively, he's not controlling the running game. There's been catcher interference penalties that have turned into runs. He's throwing to bases when he shouldn't be. He's, the delayed steal by Whit Merrifield today, again, like that's not something that he should have been out. Like that was a play the Hedges could have made and he didn't. So we're seeing just rough play from Austin Hedges all around. And I don't know how much longer this team can take it. Like, I don't know how much longer you can keep trotting Austin Hedges out there 4 to 5 times a week and act like you're a serious baseball team at this point.
Yeah. Well, as long as the current general manager continues to prioritize the 2030 Pirates over the 2023 Pirates, we're going to suck this up until June. And it's so infuriating because, like, you're right. Like, he is a defensive first catcher and he's not doing the defensive things. Sure, he can frame, but Jason DeLay is framing just about as well as Austin Hedges is right now. It's not as good, but 82nd percentile framing is just fine. That's really good. Mm-hmm. And I think I mentioned this last podcast. You ride the hot bat. Because Jason DeLay is not going to be a 300 hitter forever. So if you're going to, like, it just makes no sense because every type of mentoring thing that Hedges can do, he can do it from the bench. And what good is his mentoring? Like, he's not going to mentor Rich Hill. He needs to be mentoring Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez, Quinn Priester, Luis Ortiz. He's not doing what he's even good at right now. Yeah. And he's still the same hitter he always was. And so what's the point? You're wasting $5 million in a roster spot on someone who provides no value.
Yep, I agree. And Jimothy's here. I'll put the comment back up. But, I think you can afford to have someone like Austin Hedges in your lineup if your 1 through 8 is solid, like they were the first month of the season. Now that we're seeing guys dropping, it's just becoming apparent how, like, you can't have this many duds in your lineup. And we're now seeing, I think, just too many people playing who probably don't deserve the playing time. And we're just seeing kind of the results of that right now. We've been seeing it all week.
Yeah. And again, you're right. We are not going to be a serious team if we're going to insist on playing people like Austin Hedges every day. And, you can, obviously, we were never going to be a 110 win team, like, clearly. But the division is there for the taking. Mm-hmm. The Brewers fell off. The Cardinals are the worst team in the National League. The Cubs are hovering around 500. Like, the fact that we are going to choose to play for 2029 instead of taking this April, conceptualizing, saying, hey, this could be something special, and choosing to go trot out Miguel Andujar is going to haunt me for a very long time. And I'm not happy about it.
No, I'm neither am I. Neither am I. I've made my opinions pretty well known about where certain players should be, but the offense, again, just nothing happening today. And when they did finally do things, they ran themselves into trouble. Just an all around pretty pathetic performance, just top to bottom from the lineup, in all facets of the game. They weren't good defensively. They weren't good. They had the one nice relay, to get Chapman at third base. That was probably was good.
Bay had a nice catch. Marcano had a nice catch, but like,
there were a couple of nice plays there, but there were mistakes that you can't make. And you can't make mistakes this often when you're not hitting. Like, you've got to play really good baseball and really tight baseball. You got to do those little things right. Those little things that they were doing previously that they're just not really doing right now. I do want to kind of shift a little bit of focus. So Rich Hill got the start tonight against. I said he went 5 1/3, gave up 8 hits, 4 runs. I don't think he pitched necessarily that terribly. I mean, at the end of the day, he goes into the 6th inning, he gives up 4 runs. You have a chance to win the game. I don't think we're not expecting Rich Hill to deliver gems like night in and night out. Like I think this is kind of a typical Rich Hill type lower end start that you can expect from him. But the pitching was good enough today to make it so that the Pirates should have been in this game, and it really was just the offense dropping the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Rich Hill start, and I think that's the frustrating thing with Rich Hill is that he's never going to give you that 7 innings shutdown baseball that like you really need sometimes to pick up the offense. But it's definitely not on him tonight. Like, I mean, giving up home runs to an ice cold George Springer hurts. But I mean, he got no run support. Defense made a mistake. Like, I think Reynolds, made a mistake and left, letting Merrifield stretch it to a single to a double. So, like, Hill was fine. I just get no enjoyment watching Rich Hill pitch.
See, I kind of do. I kind of do. Like, I kind of appreciate like the art of pitching he has.
That's fair.
Because like it's fun to watch. The crazy good stuff is fun to watch. But every once in a while, it's nice to see Major League Baseball players completely baffled by 65-mile-an-hour sidearm curveballs. Like I
agree. Like I remember commenting like in a game thread, like it seems like a bad idea to throw Bo Bichette 63-mile-an-hour pitches, but then he got Bo Bichette out, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes, and that is fun. But what's more fun to me is having pitchers who you can reliably not give up 4 runs a start. And I think Rich Hill is a good innings eater. He can make sure you're in games. But when a tonight like tonight where the offense just isn't having it, it would have been nice to have a Mitch Keller type start where the offense doesn't, or the defense doesn't implode on him. But yeah, no real complaints because that's about what you can expect from Rich Hill, and it's on the offense to not suck. But we already talked about the offense.
Yeah, I mean, back to Rich Hill. I think he's a perfectly competent starting pitcher for a good team, like good baseball teams. Having Rich Hill on your squad to throw 5 to 6 innings every time he's out there and giving yourself a position to win, like that's great for a back end starter. So.
Yeah. The only real problem is he's probably the number 3 starter on the team right now.
That number 3 starter just kind of switches hands. every
Whoever got the hot. Yeah, no, like, and Hill made a lot of sense signing, and I do love me a good innings eater. So it's just sometimes really frustrating to see him toss 88-mile-an-hour meatballs into the middle of the zone. But
yeah, that's definitely frustrating. Like the pitch he threw to Springer that was launched was not a great pitch.
Yeah, that's what you get from Rich Hill. Like, you're going to have to take the bad with the good, and unfortunately, there's just not. I don't think he has the stuff to really go out and do what Chris Bassett did today.
Chris Bassett doesn't have great stuff either, but
no.
Yeah, Pirates couldn't do anything against him. Bassett goes 7 innings, doesn't give up a run, 4 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. Probably his best start of the year. He's blown up a couple times, but yeah, really nice start from him. The Blue Jays are playing some good baseball right now. They're now let's see, today made them 19-14.
They just got swept by the Boston Red Sox before coming here, though. Like, they were just as anemic, which is where you kind of hope to get that nice rebound game. And we just gave them exactly what they needed. 7 shutout innings from their pitcher, saving the bullpen, getting them back on track with a win, and it hurts. And
yeah, you know what? I was out of town all week. I didn't even notice they played that bad. I knew they were coming off like a really hot week last week, but yeah, holy crap. Their pitching is terrible lately.
Yep, that's the real kicker is that the Red Sox who we swept,
Yeah.
kicked them around Fenway for 4 games, and then they come to our place and it wasn't close. And you could kind of feel it after the first inning. The game was already feeling a little out of reach, as weird as it sounds.
Yep.
But you could definitely feel like after letting Bassett get off the hook there, it really didn't feel great afterward. And I'm just praying McCutcheon's okay so we can put McCutcheon and Joe on the lineup tomorrow so we can kick around Barrios.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. You had the lineup today, no McCutcheon, no Joe, no Hayes. And Hayes obviously isn't like a world beater at the plate, but he's better than the alternatives. Yep. I'd rather have Brian Hayes up there than most of these other guys in the line at the bottom of the lineup. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully tomorrow we can kind of see a more normal lineup. Hopefully Andrew McCutcheon is okay and he doesn't have to miss a prolonged period of time, because then things are gonna start getting iffy like they did tonight. Because I don't know how much longer. Like they need a breakout game. This offense needs a breakout game, and maybe Barrios is that guy to do it against. And Barrios also isn't someone who can really pitch deep into games anymore. I think he only averages like 70-some pitches a start at this point in his career. So hopefully the Pirates can do some damage tomorrow, because they really need a game to do some damage. They dropped to 20-13 with this loss. Like I said, 5th loss in a row. You really want this stretch, this Rays Blue Jays stretch that they're on. I think I like going into it. I was like, if you can come out of this 2-4, then that's completely fine. And in order for them to come out 2-4, they've got to win the next 2.
Yep. It was rough because I was like, just win 1 game per series. Like I was not asking for much. And again, it is partially the fact that like our entire offense is dying. And now we have 2 pitchers on the IL with elbow injuries, and one of our options who we could have called up also died and is out for 16 months. But man, I am just praying that all these injuries, on top of the Bay injury, because if Bay's out for a while, I don't know who comes up. But at that, you're not calling up Nick Gonzalez, who's striking out at a 36% clip in AAA.
You can't.
Palacios is just Mark Mathias 2.0. I don't know why anyone wants him. My hope and prayer is that since Luis Ortiz got pulled early tonight, is if Bay goes on the IL, Ben Sherrington is forced to stop being a loser and call up the players who deserve to be here, kind of like how Contreras was forced to be called up last year. Because I really feel like that could actually help turn things around with new, fresh, exciting, talented young blood.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it right now, and the only infielder on the 40-man is Peguero. And Triolo, but
he's dead.
He's hurt. So you're looking at Peguero's the only healthy 40-man infielder. But the kicker here is there's also a catcher on the 40-man who can play infield.
He can.
So, yeah. What do you do? It's
a real head scratcher.
Yeah, right. So it's one of those things where, I am curious. Like, I mean, I guess we'll wait to hear more on Bay. That's something that we didn't even touch on. G1 Bay was pulled from this game in the bottom of the 8th. He hit a grounder to the right side, took 2 steps out of the batter's box, and then came up limp. So not sure if it was an ankle, a hamstring, but it was enough to take him out of the game and enough to make it so that he couldn't, run down to first base. So who knows what G1 Bay's what's happening there. We probably will hear something about that later tonight, but we probably won't get more details on it until tomorrow. But if Bay's out for a prolonged period of time, I don't know what other options you have. I mean, do you can you just call up Peguero and say, hey, you're the guy now? And I don't know. Like, this team needs they need a spark plug.
Yeah.
And there's a couple guys down there in the minors who I think could provide a spark. So,
and even if you buy Peguero's bat, which I'm still kind of bullish on, because a lot of it's like a Bay type thing where he grounds out infield hits, uses his speed. I have seen him play that glove is not going to play in a major league level. He plays shortstop right now. He plays a horrific shortstop. And so maybe you stick him at second base. Maybe you do that. Maybe you say, all right, Endy's the future. We have to keep him around for as long as possible. Bring up Paguero. It's going to get worse. Like, you're better off playing Mark Mathias every day. I genuinely believe that. So, I mean, just call up Endy. Maybe you're lucky and you get a draft pick. Ben Sherrington loves his draft picks. He loves the draft. Like, take a chance, because it would just suck so much to like be gifted this great start and to squander it for service time.
And then next thing you know, they're back under 500 in June, and then they call them up. Now I think we're all on the same page there. Another injury note: since Vince Velasquez was placed on the 15-day IL prior to the game, it left an opening for Tuesday's starter. So nothing's been announced yet, but I think we can make a pretty good assumption that it's probably going to be Luis Ortiz. He wasn't scheduled to start today for Indianapolis. He was supposed to go tomorrow, but they bump him up a day. He throws 42 pitches of 3 scoreless innings for Indianapolis against Toledo. I think the only reason why you do that is to kind of, this was his bullpen day, right? And you're going to have him now start on Tuesday for the Pirates. So I would imagine that's the case. Definitely don't like take that to the bank or anything, but it looks like Luis Ortiz is probably going to get the call to replace Vince Velasquez in his next start, which I'll take that over, because I was real worried they were going to go like Caleb Smith.
I was dreading the eventual bullpen day with Chase Dion as the opener.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to get put in that post game, and I'm just going to be really mad about that game too. So that would be much, much better. Not holding my breath. The cynic in me still says that we won't see him till June, but signs are looking good.
Yeah. Don't get your hopes up, but I think with what we saw happen tonight for Indianapolis, it's definitely like something's up.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't have done that. So that's pretty much an injury update there. Not much more to add about this game. Like I said, hopefully they
touch on the bullpen, and
I guess we can touch on them. They look great. Dowry Moretta has had a great week. This is his third straight game where he went an inning and 2/3 scoreless, kind of cleaning up some messes. So good week for Moretta. He's kind of rebounded since he was scuffling there for a little bit. But he's looked good lately.
No complaints by him. He's also, I think someone put it up in the chat earlier, 70% strike rate. He's fixing the issue.
There you go.
I still don't know if the stuff is going to be there full time for like a major league position, but it's promising signs, even if it's kind of in garbage time when by the time Moretta came in, everyone kind of knew the game was over. But we take our small victories.
It was 4-0 in the 6th when he entered, but yeah, and like I said, I mean he got the guys out that he was told to face, so we'll take that. Chase DeYoung, again, we mentioned, activated off of the IL. He pitches a scoreless inning tonight. Walked 2 batters, didn't really look great, but kind of your typical Chase DeYoung outing where he doesn't look good but gives up 0 runs. And then David Bednar, we talked about him Monday on Starbucks, but like I don't know how much more we can say about this guy. Like, he's just so good, and the team's been so bad lately that he hadn't pitched in a week, and they had to get him into the game. So Bednar pitched the 9th and threw 14 pitches and just dominated.
He looks effortless. Like, it legitimately does not look like he's putting in any effort on the mound, and so it's nice to know Bednar has not been affected by anything because he just looks so good. But
he's legit an elite bullpen arm in this league. Yeah, like, I think I was a little skeptical to kind of say that probably the last 2 years because there were some ups and downs, but he is really good, and that fastball is so good, can't be touched. People know it's coming, still can't hit it, and then the curveball's there. It's a plus pitch. So. Yeah.
Well, are you ready for him to be traded at the deadline? Because it's going to happen. Ben's going to see the maximum value, and he's going to get dealt so that the 2033 Pirates can just be a little bit better.
Yeah, I would rather not. Let's squash any of that stuff. So
fair enough.
It's definitely something that could happen. I think last year he could have been traded last year, and there are definitely going to be people calling about him because there's going to be teams who want him.
Oh yeah.
But I would have to imagine his asking price is currently extremely high.
Probably.
I don't think there's a scenario where like you don't trade Bednar, but like you gotta get like a king's ransom for David Bednar right now.
I agree. It really depends how desperate people get at the deadline and where the Pirates are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to guess that we're probably going to be like the 2022 Orioles, where they sell off their best bullpen arm. They sell off Trey Mancini. I think we're going to see something pretty similar to that no matter where we are, because I don't think the front office had any intention of this year being a year that we compete for the playoffs. And I don't see us changing course even if we go into the break in first place. And I know it sucks to say that, but I can't. Knowing what I know about Ben Cherington and like how he operates this team, it doesn't sound like him.
I think if this team's in first place in July, there's really no choice but to add to it at that point. But we'll cross that bridge. Let's do this. Let's win a game in May first.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, good point.
Let's win a game in May, and then we can start talking about what we'll do when we're in first place in July. So I think the Pirates need to, like I said, they really need to bounce back here. 2 more games this series, Saturday, Sunday. A pretty decent crowd tonight, probably the best non-opening day crowd of the season. There was like 25,000 fans in attendance.
Yeah.
So hopefully everybody shows up for the weekend. But tomorrow it's Johan Oviedo versus Jose Berrios. Berrios, as we've mentioned, has been pretty bad. Oviedo coming off a pretty rough start as well. 2 not great starts in a row for Oviedo. So he's looking to bounce back. Anything in particular you'll be looking for tomorrow?
I'll be at the Curve game again, so I'll be on Henry Davis watch.
All right. Are they playing playing like Richmond or something?
Richmond Flying Squirrels, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hopefully Henry Davis is in the lineup tomorrow.
Yep.
Because he was out today. But all right, guys. Well, again, Pirates dropped this one 4-0. They are 20-13, still in first place. The Brewers, as we're doing this right now, are what are the Brewers doing? No, they don't play until 10:15, so they got a late game. But hopefully they still lose. They're on a 4-game losing streak themselves.
Cubs won today, and the Cardinals are currently winning by 1. By 1, yeah.
So, all right. Well, hopefully we're still a game and a half in first place come tomorrow. But again, 4-0 loss. Tomorrow we'll be back with another post-game show. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.